Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 short stories. The first story is titled Scolding the Duck Thief. There was a man in the Baija village in the west of the city, who stole a duck from his neighbor and cooked it. However, that very night, he suddenly felt his skin itch, and by morning, he found himself covered in downy duck feathers that hurt when touched. Terrified and unable to find a cure, he dreamt that night of someone telling him, "Your condition is a punishment from heaven. You must accept the owner's scolding, only then will the feathers fall off." However, the man knew that his neighbor, an old man, was always magnanimous and never showed anger, even if he lost something. Left with no choice, he deceitfully told the old man, "Your duck was stolen by someone. He's most afraid of getting scolded. If you could scold him, it might warn him not to steal things again in the future." The old man just smiled and said, "Who has the time to scold a bad person?" As a result, the old man never scolded him. The man, feeling increasingly embarrassed, finally confessed the truth to the old man and asked him to scold him. Eventually, the old man agreed and scolded him, and the man's condition was cured. At the end of the story, the author comments, "The consequences of stealing are truly terrifying. Stealing a duck leads to growing feathers. However, scolding also has different outcomes. The old man scolded the thief and even reduced his guilt for stealing. It seems that there are different ways to do good. Although the old man scolded the thief, doesn't this also show his compassion?" The second story is titled God of Poyang Lake. In Idu County, there was a man named Zhai. Once, Zhai went to Raozhou in Jiangxi to serve as a magistrate. Passing by Poyang Lake, he saw a shrine by the lake and stopped to admire it. Inside the shrine, Zhai saw statues resembling martyred heroes from the Ming dynasty, such as Ding Pulang, but he noticed that a statue with the surname Zhai was placed last. Feeling displeased, he said, "How can someone from our family be placed at the end?" He then swapped the Zhai statue with one at the front. Soon after, he boarded his boat to continue his journey. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, snapping the sail and tilting the mast. Everyone on the boat cried out in fear. At that moment, a small boat came breaking through the waves towards Zhai's boat. As it neared, a person hurriedly helped Zhai onto the small boat, followed by his family. Once aboard, Zhai looked closely at the owner of the small boat and realized he resembled the Zhai statue from the shrine exactly. After a while, when the storm subsided, Zhai wanted to thank the owner of the small boat, but found he had disappeared. The third story is titled Son of the Liu Family. Liu Shichuan from Jiaozhou was the financial manager for the family of the minister Fahruazhen. Liu Shichuan was well into his 40s when he finally had a son, and as a result, he doted on him excessively, always indulging him, fearing to contradict him. As the son grew older, he became even more extravagant and unrestrained, ultimately squandering all the wealth Liu Shichuan had accumulated. Liu Shichuan had a robust mule that he cherished dearly. One day, when Liu Shichuan's son fell ill, he said to his father, "That mule you raise is so fat, its meat must be delicious. Go kill that mule so I can eat its meat, and I'll get better." Reluctant to do so, Liu Shichuan considered killing an inferior mule instead. When his son heard this, he flew into a rage, cursed vehemently, and his condition worsened. Fearing for his son, Liu Shichuan killed his beloved mule and served its meat to his son, who then became happy again. However, the son only tasted a small piece of the meat and refused the rest. His condition never improved, and shortly after, he died. Liu Shichuan was deeply saddened and mourned, overwhelmed with grief. 3 or 4 years later, several villagers traveled together to Mount Tai to pay their respects. When they reached halfway up the mountain, they saw a man riding a mule approaching. His appearance bore a striking resemblance to Liu Shichuan's son. As he drew nearer, they confirmed that indeed, he was Liu Shichuan's son. The son dismounted from the mule, greeted everyone with a bow, and exchanged greetings. The villagers were astonished but dared not inquire how he had come back to life. They simply asked, "What are you doing here?" Liu Shichuan's son replied, "I have no particular business, I am just traveling around." He then asked the villagers which inn they were staying at, and they told him truthfully. After speaking, Liu Shichuan's son bowed politely and said, "It's unfortunate, I have a small matter to attend to now. I don't have time to chat today, but I will come to the inn tomorrow to see everyone." With that, he mounted his mule and departed. In the evening, when they returned to the inn, they doubted Liu Shichuan's son would actually come. The next morning, as they sat waiting in the inn, Liu Shichuan's son indeed arrived. He tied the mule to a post in the stable and approached the villagers with a smile. They said, "Your father thinks of you every day and longs to see you. Why don't you go home and visit him?" Liu Shichuan's son asked in surprise, "Who are you talking about?" They replied, "Of course, we mean Liu Shichuan." Upon hearing this, Liu Shichuan's son's expression changed suddenly. After a long pause, he said, "Since he misses me, please go back and tell him, on April 7th, I will wait for him here." With that, he bid them farewell and departed. After returning to the village, the villagers informed Liu Shichuan of the situation. Upon hearing this, Liu Shichuan wept bitterly and proceeded as planned to the inn, where he explained his purpose to the innkeeper. However, the innkeeper tried to dissuade him, saying, "Some days ago, I saw your son with an indifferent demeanor, seemingly harboring ill intentions. I'm afraid you cannot go to see him now." Liu Shichuan, crying uncontrollably, refused to believe the innkeeper's words. The innkeeper continued, "It's not that I won't let you go, but spirits are capricious. You might encounter misfortune. If you insist on meeting him, please hide in the cupboard first. See how he behaves when he arrives. If you feel it's safe to meet him, you can come out then." Liu Shichuan thought it made sense, so he followed the innkeeper's advice. Later on, Liu Shichuan's son indeed arrived at the inn. He asked the innkeeper, "Has Liu Shichuan come?" The innkeeper replied, "No, he hasn't." Hearing this, Liu Shichuan's son flew into a rage and cursed loudly. "That old scoundrel, why hasn't he come?" Shocked by his attitude, the innkeeper asked, "Why are you cursing your own father?" Liu Shichuan's son replied, "He's not my father. Initially, we were business partners, but he secretly schemed to embezzle my wealth, behaving unreasonably. He never returned anything to me. Now, I won't feel satisfied until I kill him." "What father are you talking about?" With these words, Liu Shichuan's son stormed out of the room, muttering angrily, "Today he got lucky." Liu Shichuan, hiding in the cupboard, heard everything clearly. He was so frightened that sweat poured down his back, and he dared not make a sound. The innkeeper called out to him, and only then did he cautiously emerge, ultimately returning home in a sorry state. The author concludes with these remarks. Suddenly gaining a lot of wealth is such a joyful thing. However, the later burden of repayment is indeed difficult to bear. Even after reincarnation, nearly exhausting the enemy's wealth, and dying again, still unable to forget the enemy, it shows how terrifying resentment can be for a person. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tales. Scolding the Duck Thief, God of Poyang Lake and son of the Liu family. If you enjoyed them, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.